Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Semi-original guy here, aka Mr. Ken from Advance with Byweb, bringing you the finals of the H3il3nder Invitational Advance Wars 1+2 Rebootcamp tournament, where myself, Mr. Cannon, aka Semi-original guy, am playing against zielinskigr in the finals. Now, this was originally supposed to be a best of 3, but due to some time restraints, we had to do only one game. So everything is banked on one game right now for the finals, for the winner. But before that, I just want to give a shout out to all the players that were playing in this tournament. I think everybody played very well, and everybody is definitely deserving of a lot of praise. So we're just going to shout out everybody that played in the tournament. So first we have Emerald, Whooper in a Tank, Cryo Goose, Jimmy Kudo, Neko Lolita, zielinskigr, Lulirt, and Hezlo. All these players played phenomenally throughout the tournament. I got the chance to watch quite a few of their games, and it was very, very good, especially over on Neko Lolita's stream. She actually managed to stream quite a few of the games from her end as well. So it was very interesting, very fun to see. And I got to see a bunch of the loser bracket games as well. Luckily, zielinskigr was able to give me some footage from the loser bracket, so we got to cover that before too. So if you haven't checked that out, check out the previous videos in this series. You'll be able to see a lot of Reboot Camp gameplay, so it was very good. But in the finals, we decided to do something that I was talking about in another one of the games. So we played on Full Metal Front, so very straightforward map, very linear, and we did Max versus Eagle for that one. So we have a Max versus Eagle, Full Metal Front. We're gonna see today who takes the cake and who gets to go home as the champion of the H3il3nder Invitational. So hopefully you all enjoy. I'll see you there. Alrighty folks, here we are. So, like I said, Full Metal Front, very straightforward map, extremely linear. As you can see, you know, we have Orange Sun on one side, Blue Moon on the other side. We got labs in the middle, quite a few labs actually in the middle, but two of them are pre-owned by either player. So very cool. Labs do actually give income in Reboot Camp, as most of you probably already know. But those of you that don't, they give 1,000 income when you capture them, but the only drawback of the labs in Reboot Camp is they don't give any defense at all. So they are 0-star terrain when it comes to any sort of defenses. So it makes for some very, very destructive gameplay, let's say the least. So we can see that zielinskigr there, Day 2 tank. That is pretty much the standard on this map. Now you start with 6,000 income, which basically just means that once you get your first 2 infantry out, you just got to start pumping out the tanks. That's why I kind of thought that Max was pretty good here. So Max, you know, gets the tanks out very, very early, and he's able to just send them very quick. Now the only other thing too is Eagle is incredibly powerful when it comes to building like a very large army really quick, because Lightning Strike is just going to be immensely powerful if you manage to get a whole bunch of units created. So it really just comes down to who manages to do a well enough strike in the middle, and then who's able to capitalize on it with their super co-powers afterwards. So Max, you know, he gets that 120% defense, or not defense, but offense, day to day, but his offense goes up like quite a lot when he uses his super co-power. And Eagle's Lightning Strike, you know, he just gets that ×2 movement in the turn. So all of his vehicles just get to go a second time. So it's super powerful, super powerful. So far, not really too much is happening in the game. We do got the tanks already in position, like very, very close to the middle. And right now I'm trying to decide what I really want to do with my tank. Do I want to push it up, or do I want to like keep it back? Do I want to put it on defensive terrain? Now I think probably the best choice is to put it as far possible as you can, as to not get hit. Because you really don't want to get first struck on Full Metal Front. If you lose a tank early on in this game, it basically just seals the deal for you, and you're just unable to sort of recover after that. You got to keep your tanks alive. So, number 1 priority, keep tanks alive. Number 2 priority, win. That's it. That's all you got to do, folks. 100%. Alright, so when it comes to this map, I was thinking that maybe there was a little bit of first turn advantage, but it sort of balances out a little bit around this turn. So as you can see, like, the tank chain is AB, but on the second, or on this day, Blue Moon is able to buy a tank, and I was not able to buy a tank as Orange Star. So I decided to buy a recon. Now, I did have a little bit of a plan for this recon. I was hoping to get them all the way out there and hopefully start denying some properties on the southern front. That was the number 1 plan. But we're gonna see if it's even possible. When I was kind of trying to plan this out a little bit, you know, I was thinking like, okay, it is sort of possible. It really just depends on what zielinskigr decides to do here. Now, if he pushes up like really aggressively, it's gonna be very hard to actually get those tanks forward and get that recon all the way in the south. So it very much just depends on where he decides to put his units, you know? But that's really what it comes down to in Advance Wars all the time. It's like, you know, you can have a plan, but then your plan goes out the window as soon as your opponent does something. So, unfortunately, that's just the name of the game sometimes. So, considering that he's got 2 tanks up there, super close, and I'm actually down a vehicle right now, like I'm down 1 tank, I decide not to push up. So, I'm pulling back, and I'm just gonna wait for another tank. So I can get a tank this turn, and it, you know, you don't really want to be pushing into a losing situation. You know, he's got 2 tanks. If I was to go up and attack with one of my tanks, I would get counter-attacked and lose 1 tank. zielinskigr would still have an injured tank that he would be able to bring back and get healed, and then he would have another tank ready to go, like right in my face. So the only thing that would happen from that attack would be I would lose a tank, then be down another tank, and then he would have 3 tanks to my 2 tanks the next turn, and then he would have another tank, and then tanks, you know, just lots and lots of tanks. But yeah, so I decided to pull back and try to avoid that sort of situation. Really just going to be trying to build up the forces and build up the momentum to get like a really good push later on. That's the plan. That is a solid plan for Full Metal Front. Now, I think zielinskigr's move here is pretty good, actually. So he's pushing his tank, the one north, like as far north as he can. So it covers like a lot of ground. And I think that's really important with this one, especially with the amount of contested cities in the middle. By pushing your tanks and your units as far forward as you can, but without allowing for a first strike, it's very advantageous because it'll allow you to gain control of the center while denying the center for your opponent. So his position right now is fairly strong, and I kind of favor it over my position at the moment. Now, the fact that he was able to get an extra tank out there due to the first turn advantage, or the first turn advantage counter, I should say, is very good. So he's able to do that like no problem. Alright, so let's see what I do in response to this. So I'm trying to think, I'm like, okay, so I can go out and cap that property up north. I can cap the airport now. Battlecopters are going to be pretty effective here as well. Now, there's going to be anti-air. So battlecopters can only do so much. But I think they're vitally important because they're able to just roam freely without having to worry about forests or the mountains that are in the middle, because it's very choke pointy in the middle. So the battlecopter's freedom will give it like a lot of momentum, like in the mid game, late game. And it really just depends on if he, you know, if he builds anti-air, and we'll see. We'll see if he builds anti-air. Obviously, you do have to build anti-air in this match. It's vitally important, more than anything too. A well-placed anti-air, even if it doesn't really attack air units, let's say, It's very, very effective for breaking the infantry wall because the anti-air should get a one-shot on the plains or a 0-star terrain. It might not be able to get a one-shot on the forest. That's sort of up for debate. I can't quite remember if it's able to or not, but it'd be very good for wall breaking later on too. And especially if you look right in the center of the map there where the labs are and the bridge and the two mountains, there is a lot of 1-star terrain right around there. So breaking that little formation, if anything does decide to go in the middle, anti-airs would be really effective for doing that. I think right now Zilling is just kind of looking for options at the moment. So I do got 3 tanks in the front line now. He's got 3 tanks in the front line. He's about to get his 4th tank out. I think right now he's actually trying to think about what to do with his tank in response to my recon in the south, because I did leave a recon in position to get hit by a tank. Now I'm kind of hoping that he goes for it. You know, if he does decide to go for it, then that's not really too bad for me, because I'll be able to get a good first strike on the tanks there. And I would feel a lot better about attacking in the south there than pushing my forces like directly into him. It's a little bit more defensive down there, especially because it's right by my bases. It's like 2 or 3 day reinforcement from my base. And he does. So he doesn't attack the recon, but he brings the tanks down and forms a nice little line here. And he actually puts his puts his tank right in front of his infantry there, and is basically saying, all right, come at me. Come at me. You want to attack me? Let's do this. Let's do this. I got no problem. No problem. And a tank right there in the middle, it's not like... I don't think it's like necessarily too bad. It would allow for a first strike from one of my tanks, but it would also allow for a counterattack with 3 of his tanks. So once again, we get in that scenario where you go up and you take an attack, but you lose a tank, and you just have to sort of weigh the response. You know, is it really worth it to go up and take that strike? Like, I think it's about 70% damage on a road with a max tank. But personally, I don't think that it's really worth it to attack right now. Like I said, full metal front, very linear. It's very tank heavy. You don't really want to be losing vehicles early. You know, you want to build up the units as much as you possibly can. 66% damage. So if we tally like luck into there, like 0 to 9, it's very likely it would do 7 damage. Like there's like a 55% chance or something like that. Maybe a 60% chance. Don't quote me on that, but good odds, good odds. But if it didn't work and you only did 4 damage, well then it's risky. It's a risky business, buddy. Yeah, so I think I'm really thinking about this right now. I'm trying to really trying to decide whether or not it's worth going for. Now looking back here, I would say that it's probably not worth it. It might be worth it to go and interrupt the infantry with the recon. That wouldn't be necessarily that bad of an idea. I mean, obviously you would lose a recon in response, but you would be able to put a lot of tanks in position to attack right afterwards. And that would actually slow down the income game there for Blue Moon. It's like I said too, like center control is super important. So if he does manage to get that center, it's just going to be very easy for him to like build a line and just push me back like every single day, like just inching forward, pushing me back, having the threat of lightning strike like Lumen. But the one drawback from lightning strike is it's an incredibly expensive superpower, and we're on a very tight day limit here. For this one, we only have 18 days to actually get this done. So he probably would only be able to get maybe 1 lightning strike. Now it's possible he could get 2, but it really just depends on how feisty we both decide to get with the fighting, right? And right now I'm gonna be behind in income. So I have to make plans, and I have to make plays to capture properties. that's priority number one. Cap properties and build tanks. 100%. That's all we need to do. Cap properties, build tanks. Yeah, I'm really trying to decide what to do with this. I think I should probably just go in for the attack. But he's got 5 tanks, and I got 4 in the front line, so maybe it's not like 100% worth it. There is some options for the recon, like later on. Definitely some wall breaking potential with the recon, especially doing like 84% damage on like 0-star terrain. So maybe it's okay to keep the recon back. You know, it's not the worst idea, but I don't know. My inner yeet is just calling. You know, he's just like, I could just like go for it, but no. All right, so I decide not to go for it. It's probably the better move. Honestly, it is probably the better move. Just calculating some tank movements here, making sure I don't get first struck, bringing the dudes back, and actually forming the wall around the bottom property there in the middle. Just making sure that I can get that cap. Now it is possible that he could like interrupt it, but that would be a severe overextension if they did decide to do that. Does look like they got the airport now though, so they are going to be able to start pumping out some battle copters here pretty soon. And yeah, they just secured a lot of income right there. A lot of income. So they're sitting at 14. Fairly golden number here for Full Metal Front. 14,000 every single turn allows you to get 2 tanks every turn. As well as like, you know, other things too, right? You know, you can always buy it. You can always go the artillery route. You know, it's possible. You can go battlecopter 2 infantry. You can go battlecopter recon infantry. I believe, yeah, you should be able to do that. So you got options. Definitely got options. Definitely a tank heavy map though. It's not called Full Metal Front for no reason. Now, what am I going to be able to do? I got, I think I'll be able to get 2 caps this turn. Maybe 1. Might only be able to get 1. Although I think I'm capping the airport right now. So if we can get the airport. No, I already capped the airport. Okay, so we're only going to get 1 cap, which is not very good. Not very good. Considering he's about to get 2 caps here. Now, I could interrupt one of the caps. That's 100% possible. But if he gets both of those caps, that puts him at 16, and that's like even more dangerous. So we're gonna see. We shall see what happens. All right, so center infantry has 2 options here too, so it might be able to. Yeah, I could go for the property up north and could go for the property in the middle. The up north property is pretty risky. It's able to get 2-shot by 2 infantry. It wouldn't be a guaranteed KO, but it would be very strong. You know, it'd be pretty rough. So I don't think I want to go for that just yet. So I do bring the recon forward to interrupt the cap. I kind of want to use the infantry like later on to like battle his infantry. I think that's really the plan, because infantry walls are super effective in Advance Wars, and for this map, since it's so linear, if you're able to just use your infantry to just eliminate your opponent's infantry wall, well then your tanks can just move in and do tons and tons of damage right afterwards. And I busted another tank and another tank. Cool. That's all you need right there, buddy. You just need 2 tanks. 2 tanks a turn. That's it. Alright, so 14 to 13. He's about to get 15, so that'll put him in a pretty good spot. Not 16,000, obviously, but it's still going to be able to do quite a bit. Alright, so he moves in with a tank, damages the recon, takes it all the way down to 3. And he's moving the infantry up north, sending them forward. Pretty good. Putting them in position to actually start capping that northern property. Which, if he does manage to get the northern property, that would be pretty huge for him. That would put him at a like significant advantage. But I have enough units around the north right now that it probably would not work out. It would at least start a fight, more than anything. Now, attacking the recon could actually open up for a fight as well. Because Max does have 120% firepower, and for those of you that don't know, on 3-star terrain, let's say how that tank down there is sitting on a city. That's 3-star terrain, so it's 130% defense. The only way to 100% guarantee a 2-shot KO on a unit that has 130% or 30% defense bonus would be to have another unit that has 120% offense. So in Advance Wars by Web, you get the 120% offense most of the time from like a co-power usage or the usage of a comm tower, which gives you 10% attack power, but not a lot of CEOs can effectively get to 120%, but Max already starts out with 120% with his direct combat units. So he has a little bit of advantage when it comes to 2-shotting units like that. Recon taken all the way down to 1. Ouch. Ouch. Painful stuff, folks. Painful stuff. Not what you want to see. He's also decided to build a battlecopter. So there's now a battlecopter on the field. And he decides to end turn right there. So he put himself in a fairly strong position here. Got lots and lots of tanks ready to counter-strike if I do decide to go up and take a few hits. So at this point, I just have to sort of decide, like, is it really worth it to go up and start doing attacks? Or do I hang back, you know? Do I wait for more reinforcements? Do I go up and take the attacks? I don't know. I do not know, but we shall find out. Alright, so you guys were seeing there, it was 46% damage. So if you calculate 2 attacks with luck rolls, the likelihood of getting the 2-hit KO is very, very good. So, yeah. It's good stuff. 120%. That's the golden number, folks. Alright, so I'm going to ponder on this move for a little bit here. Alright. So, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tanks. 7 tanks in a battlecopter right now. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 7 tanks. He has 7 tanks in a battlecopter. Yeah, that's a pretty risky situation. So that's probably why I don't decide to push in just yet. Not a position I want to be in. No, I think that would end up being a losing situation because I would only be able to take out 1 tank, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, no, I would only be able to take out 1 tank. I would leave 2 tanks open to counterattack, and then I would just get put way, way behind. So definitely not worth it. Number 1 priority, secure caps. Number 2 priority, win. That's it. Alright. What am I going to do with these tanks? Alright, so just forming a death ball. That's it. So just death ball in the bottom corner. That's going to be pretty much all that we can do at the moment. The other thing about Full Metal Front 2 is infantry are super, super important because you end up having to use them as sort of meat shields, right? You got to use them as your advanced walls, but they're also super important because you need them to capture the properties in the middle. So if you can keep your at least a few of your infantry like pretty healthy, you know, you're in a pretty good spot. So if I was zielinskigr right now, I would probably actually use one of those infantry maybe to go and interrupt the north cap just to keep my income like super low. But doing that, it would mean that you would end up losing an infantry, and it would really only delay the cap a little bit. Like I would still end up getting the cap, but it might give him a little bit of an advantage for a short time. But I'm not like 100% sure, you know? Maybe it's not the best idea, but like I said, it's just my inner yeet. My inner yeet is always calling to me. Okay, so yeah, this is kind of a risky move right here. So you're bringing the tanks like super, super close to my tanks, like within like striking distance here. One thing you definitely have to watch out for, because if there is any potential to wall break that, my tanks could move in super easily and get a bunch of first strikes, which might be fairly dangerous. But it looks like he's doing that mainly so that he gets that cap. This is still pretty risky though. Like, lots of the tanks are fairly exposed right now, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Alright, anti-air battlecopter build. Now, you do got to think here too. It's only 10 days left, so Eagle does need to start doing some kind of battle damage in order to build up that super. So we'll see what I decide to do here. I'm checking the range on the battlecopters. I determined that it looks like the battlecopter is able to like cover like quite a bit of that. So we'll see what I decide to do here. It does look like there's some potential for some attacks here. Especially with the tanks being so close, but it really just depends on if I can get a good number of first strikes or not. I think that's a good hit right there. Definitely need to break that. And that, once again, that does leave a lot of the tanks like really open here. So debating whether or not I should go up and cap that property. And the answer is yes. Yes, at this point, you do got to put pressure and cap properties if you can get them. 100%, you got to do it. Alright, 1 HP recon just hanging in there. Now, okay, so now I'm starting to realize something here. I'm like, looks like there might be a couple first strikes I could do here, but I don't think this is the turn. I'm seeing a pretty big line here, but I don't want to push into it just yet. So I'm pulling my guys back, and I'm gonna try to wait. I'm gonna think about the long game here. It's like, 'cause if I can get max force, right, then I can do like tons and tons of damage. So build my anti-air, build my battlecopter, build an infantry, and I'm just gonna call it there. If Eagle goes up and first strikes my tanks in the south, I think I will still be in an okay position, because he'll only be able to do so much damage to me, and I should be able to counterattack him like quite significantly and end up like winning the fight overall if he does decide to do that. But I mean, now there's a battlecopter up there right in the front lines, so it's feeling a little risky. For sure. What are we doing? Okay, so he's forming another line with his tanks here. Now this is kind of a risky play. Most of that terrain right there, like I said, it's all 1-star terrain. So Max's tanks would be able to do like quite a bit of damage to those units if they do manage to get the first strikes. Once again, it's going to depend on if I can get the first strikes. But Eagle's also done like very minimal damage. Like, he has managed to attack some infantry. He attacked a recon. He's less than 1-star power right now. So if I do decide to go in for an attack, he's still going to be like a long ways away from being able to get lightning strike. But there's still 9 days left on the map right now. So 9 days on the game. Lightning strike is still a possibility. And like I said, you do gotta sort of be a little bit risky with Eagle. You have to take some battle damage in order to get the lightning strike. It's very, very difficult to wait for a long time to get it. Now, is it impossible? No, not impossible, but definitely gotta wait. Alright, so going up, attacking some infantry here. Now, there's another infantry sitting there on a mountaintop, which is kind of annoying. Won't really be able to do a whole lot to that guy, but do manage to take out the other infantry, so that's okay. Checking the range on the anti-air, determining what he would be able to do with that, if anything. Looks like he'd be able to hit quite a bit. So definitely the infantry in the north would fall if the anti-air decides to go all willy-nilly up there. Alright, so it looks like I'm just going to bide my time here. Putting the infantry wall up there first, bringing the tanks out, forming the back line. Like I said, once again, just planning for that big max force. That's what I really want. One strong max force and I might be able to get in there. But if I don't do enough damage, the lightning strike that's going to hit me is going to be insanely strong. And I'd not recommend it. Would not recommend getting hit by a lightning strike, folks. It's not the best time for sure. Alright, so basically right now I'm just forming a gigantic line with the tanks covering all of my bases. There is a little bit of opportunity for him to move up with the battlecopter and attack, but I have 2 battlecopters there. I got an anti-air there. It would be a suicide mission to send that guy up there. So with 8 days left on the clock here, I think that's probably my best option there. It's just form the line, build some more tanks. That's it. Now, I do have to figure out something here because zielinskigr is about to cap a property here. So, that does put him ahead in the property. So, currently he's winning when it comes to the overall game. So, technically, all he would really have to do right now is he could stall out the match, bring it all the way to day 18, and all he would have to do is just try to deny the one property there. The one neutral property that I haven't captured yet. If he could just deny that, then he's gonna win. There wouldn't be anything I'd be able to do about it. Alright, so he's going up for a few KOs here, taking out some injured infantry. And that's about it so far. It looks like he'll be able to take out an injured infantry, but does he really have a lot of other options? It's hard to say. Looks like he's going to be sending one of his infantry down south. 2 of his infantry down south, actually, that are both threatening a cap on one of the labs. That's a pretty dangerous situation. I mean, if a property got flipped in this one, that would be even worse for me in this situation, because then I would have to capture just more properties in order to actually secure the win. Now this is a little bit of a risky play, because this the forward wall is actually not really that defended. There's an injured infantry, 3 HP sitting there. So that's an easy break. So it wouldn't actually be very difficult to get my tanks through that wall right now. So we'll see what happens here. Because there's a lot of first strike potential here. So we're gonna see if Max decides to do some Max stuff. Alright, so just checking range on battlecopters. Just kind of thinking here. It's like, okay, so we got some units here, got some tanks here. Can I do any damage? It's possible. I mean, honestly, you're Max, right? When you're playing as Max, it's all about the damage, you know? Max is a very quick CO. Max needs to get an advantage early on and do lots and lots of damage, because Max is normally in the tier with like Eagles and Olafs, right? So if he doesn't do a lot of damage early on, then he's just not going to be able to do any damage at all. Because having to contend with Winter Furies and Lightning Strikes, you know, he's got to get in there and he's got to do the damage. So I do see an opportunity here, right? So lots and lots of first strike potential. So I'm just gonna go up and I'm gonna start blasting these tanks here, checking the meter. You know, don't want him to get too close to Lightning Strike, but yeah, I determined at this moment, I'm like, okay, so he's like, I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be fine. I can go up and like take a lot of shots and it'll be okay. So I'm doing it. I'm going in. Going in hard. Alright, 52 right there. Do got a max force right now, so it is possible I could pop it. Is it worth it at the moment? Probably not. Might want to save it for the next turn. But it's a thought, you know? It's there. Alright, start a cap on the neutral city too. So I'm forcing his hand at the moment to actually interrupt the infantry cap as well. But as you guys can see there, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I managed to first strike 7 tanks there. So I think Eagle just got a little bit overconfident with that one. Definitely pushed him a little too far. Is it necessarily over? Maybe. I don't know. It's possible, because if he does manage to get Lightning Strike, he does have the battle copters, which can go in and do tons and tons of damage as well. And I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be impossible for him to get Lightning Strike, but it would require like a lot of sacrifice play. Like pretty much all of his tanks at the moment would have to sort of just KO themselves, I guess, on the tanks. So that could be possible. You would be sacrificing a lot of tanks in order to do so, but the Lightning Strike you can get afterwards, because you have 3 copters, so you'll be able to take 3 shots with the copters, take out the majority of tanks, and then the rest of the copters would be able to go a second time. It is possible that you could do like a huge amount of damage to the front line. But it really just depends on if he's able to get that Lightning Strike or not. It might be possible if he sacrifices one of the anti-airs as well. Like you go anti-air into tank or something, that'll build you a little bit extra charge, and then you might be able to get the rest of it from sacrificing the tanks. But it's one of those risky gambles, you know? I'm not sure if the money is on the field in order to do so. Actually, I don't think it is at the moment. So if I did do a little bit more battle damage to him, let's say even like one more square of damage and one more circle, like 9,000 more, it probably could have been possible to get a Lightning Strike here. Alright, but he's going to decide to bring the tanks back instead. Bringing the tanks back, though, and pushing the battlecopters forward, it's a pretty risky play. That's basically just sending your battlecopters to the meat grinder, sort of. Especially with max battlecopters right there, and with max force or max blast at this point, right around the corner. Pretty risky to do so. Yeah, I think at this point, yeah, okay, so yeah, that was the resign right there. So there we go, folks. There we go. I managed to win the final bracket of the Highlander Invitational Advance Wars 1+2 Rebootcamp tournament. So yeah, that was a great time, folks. Honestly, I had a blast playing all these games. Rebootcamp is such a slept-on game, honestly. People have given it praise, people have given it criticism. I believe it's worthy of both, but I honestly do very much enjoy the Reboot Camp. So hopefully you guys all enjoyed that. I know I definitely did. And shout out to Highlander once again for putting on the tournament and for getting so many amazing players to participate. It was a wonderful time, and 10 out of 10, I would definitely do it again. But that's going to be it for right now, folks. So hopefully you all enjoy. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye for now.